Hey, the NBA, they ain't got no chance of suspending LeBron James.
The fact that COVID-19 is a small part of the current NBA conversation is a testament to the success of the NBA bubble. You may be wondering, what is the NBA bubble? The NBA bubble, also referred to as the Disney bubble or the Orlando bubble, was the isolation zone at Walt Disney World in Bay Lake, Florida, near Orlando, that was created by the NBA to protect its players from the COVID-19 pandemic. The bubble was a $190 million investment by the NBA to protect its 2019-20 season, which was initially suspended by the pandemic on March 11, 2020. The bubble recouped an estimated $1.5 billion in revenue. In June, the NBA approved the plan to resume the season at Disney World, inviting the 22 teams that were within 6 games of a playoff spot when the season was suspended, although initially receiving a mixed reaction from players and coaches. Nearing the end of the season, there have been no outbreaks of COVID-19 among NBA players, no interruptions since the bubble began. COVID-19 has been handled so thoroughly by the NBA that its largest COVID-related stories have involved individual behaviors that didn't lead to any actual outbreaks, but potentially put others at risk. For instance, Houston Rockets forward Daniel House's removal from the bubble for breaking bubble rules. So in today's video, we will be looking at what happened when LeBron James broke NBA COVID-19 rules. Be sure to dunk that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Prior to Sunday's Game 1 between the Los Angeles Lakers and Phoenix Suns, it was revealed that LeBron James attended a promotional event for a popular tequila brand that he had been supporting prior to the play-in tournament game against the Golden State Warriors. In doing so, James violated the NBA's health and safety protocols, but avoided suspension in the matter. Since the appearance, James didn't end up being suspended. James was one of several high-profile guests present at the promotional event for the tequila brand. The tequila was poured at a brief outdoor photo shoot, and invitees included recording artist Drake and actor Michael B. Jordan. However, guests had to produce proof of vaccination or a recent negative test result in order to attend. This is unsurprising, as if the league knew about the party and warned James, if they were going to suspend him or put him into isolation, he would not have been at practice on Friday or able to participate in Wednesday's playing game for that matter. As to the question of whether or not James has been vaccinated, that part is still not totally clear. In April, Dennis Schroeder told a German news outlet that he and James were the only Lakers not vaccinated, but walked those comments back last week when returning from his second stint of the season spent in isolation due to the health and safety protocols, saying he was the only player to not receive the vaccine. At a practice on a typical Friday, James was more evasive. And if James indeed had not gotten the vaccine, he may not be alone. Head coach Frank Vogel confirmed that the team has not hit the threshold of 85% of players and staff fully vaccinated that is necessary to loosen the protocols for the team. The Lakers would need at least 15 of their 17 players vaccinated to hit that 85% threshold for players. They would also need 85% of their staff vaccinated as well. So far, Schroeder is the only player who has directly admitted he does not have the vaccine. On Friday, Vogel said that the team is hopeful they will eventually meet those requirements. I think there are obvious benefits from the standpoint of us being able to do more things with each other in the cities that we're going to. Something that's been absent league-wide in terms of team building and team bonding, Vogel said. It's been a challenge. So if we ever reach that threshold, then obviously we can do more. But regarding the king of basketball, when asked directly if the response was confirmation that he had received the vaccine, James responded vaguely, "It's not that big a deal." James has been evasive about answering questions about the COVID-19 vaccine. He has said on multiple occasions that he considers getting the vaccine a personal decision to be made among his family. "Anything I do off the floor is predicated to my family for the majority, for 99.9% of that. So it's about the health and safety of my family, and that's what it came down to." For now, the Lakers aren't there yet, and it remains an open question if they will be this season. The team is just lucky at this point that the NBA deemed that James's violation was not serious enough to warrant a stint in isolation ahead of their playoff series. Moving forward, he and everyone else on the team will have to be more careful to avoid making themselves repeat offenders. NBA spokesman Mike Bass issued a statement explaining that James's appearance didn't create a health risk that required quarantine. And I quote, "To clarify any remaining misconception, LeBron James briefly attended an outdoor event last week where participants were required to be vaccinated or return a negative test result," the statement reads. Under these circumstances and in consultation with medical experts, it was determined that his attendance did not create risks related to the spread of COVID-19, and therefore no quarantine was necessary. Following the event, an NBA spokesperson told ESPN James's actions were a violation of the agreed-upon protocols. The NBA countered that statement on Monday. To clarify any remaining misconceptions, LeBron James briefly attended an outdoor event last week where participants were required to be vaccinated or return a negative test result. James has played in the game against the Warriors and in Sunday's playoff game 1 loss to the Phoenix Suns. His availability has prompted criticism of a double standard for the Lakers star during the playoffs, where other players have been forced to sit for protocol violations. For instance, Houston Rockets guard Kevin Porter Jr. was fined $50,000 and forced to miss time due to following the league's health and safety protocols after a reported trip to a strip club in April. Dallas Mavericks player Kristaps Porzingis violated the league's COVID-19 rules by visiting a club during a weekend. He was fined $50,000 but no suspension. In a statement shared on Twitter, Byron Spruell, the NBA's president of league operations, said the league levied the fine against the Mavericks Center for breaking the rule prohibiting players from going into any bar, club, lounge, or similar establishment, regardless of the player's vaccination status. This doesn't seem fair, to be honest. Porzingis was fully vaccinated when he went to the club, and will not have to miss any games, though he does have to pay the fine. On the other hand, LeBron, who was not vaccinated when he got out, will not be fined and will not be suspended. And yes, there is an NBA rule that clearly speaks. Under current NBA rules, vaccinated players are permitted to engage in outside activities, including their individual commercial arrangements such as sponsor appearances or ad shoots. But still, LeBron James didn't get fined. David Sampson said, "The narrative is that there is special treatment being given to LeBron. If that player is not LeBron who is breaking protocols, that player is getting suspended, or at least fined, because he's LeBron," Sampson said. The double hypocrisy that is used when dealing with LeBron is so obvious. Not just by referees, but by the league. You can say he's earned it because he's the second best to ever play. But when it comes to COVID-19, you have to have the same policy regardless of the player. The NBA believes COVID-19 is something where they can play the favorites and play them they did. Sampson also said that one of the bigger issues at play with James was the Lakers star not revealing if he received the COVID-19 vaccine yet or not. James has maintained that it's a private matter and he doesn't want to disclose whether he's received the shots. The NBA ain't got the balls to suspend LeBron James. Zero, Barkley said in a virtual interview with LeJethro Jenkins. Barkley said when he read that, he started laughing. The NBA, they ain't got no chance of suspending LeBron. If it was a nobody, they would pull him in health and safety protocols, he said. Ain't no freaking way LeBron James is going to be sitting out because of health and safety protocols. He said when he read that, he started laughing and said, LeBron James is playing Sunday. Guaranteed. Jenkins said the NBA has two sets of rules. The set that applies to everyone, and the set of rules that applies to James. Stephen A. Smith said he isn't surprised that LeBron isn't suspended. And of course, NBA fans flocked to social media to decry the fact that James had escaped punishment. NBA is a disgrace. I don't think LeBron should be suspended, but you have sat down numerous players this year for the exact same thing. What's the difference now? One fan tweeted. Another wrote, LeBron has got preferential treatment from the league and refs all his career. What a disgrace. And there you have it, folks. Does LeBron receive special treatment or not? Tell us down below in the comments section, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Till next time.